Hopefully we are. Okay, anyway, I'm Anna, and I'm still responsible for partnership and growth on Mars X. And today with us is Juan Perez Torralbo, who is an amazing mentor for great accelerators in the EU, one in Spain, the Explorer, and another one, a new venture, which is European Startup Universe. And this is how we met. And I realized that, Juan has a lot to say, especially about social inclusion and all the trends on that matter. But Juan, could you maybe introduce yourself?
Well, as you said, I've been working with startups for many years ago, also specializing in innovation management and in the area of big data also. And the last thing, when I founded a school for entrepreneurs some years ago in Spain, and what I'm doing also now is, besides working for some companies in the big data area, I'm working in managing the European Startup Universe program for Spain. The European Startup Universe is a program for every country of Europe whose aim is to connect ecosystems, to connect people and startups that are living in different countries, because we think that we are very isolated, one country from the other, and we don't know almost nothing from the very interesting and also awesome things that startups are doing in Europe. We are like close within our own countries, and we don't know what other countries and other startups are doing, and we are losing a lot of opportunities there. So now, this year is going to be, after the summer, I hope, the second edition of the program. So I encourage everyone in every country of Europe to participate.
Oh, absolutely. And can I just add here, and if you don't find your country on ESU website, it doesn't mean that you cannot participate. For example, my startup was based in Switzerland, and they still accommodated us. They got us a choice of joining Hungarian, I think, cohort or Slovenian, and we chose Slovenian, and it was great. Lots of cool mentors. Yeah. So I really encourage you to do that. So thank you, Juan. And today we're going to talk about how shifts in startup ecosystems can lead to more robust levels of inclusive innovation, and how access to the startup networks, to expertise and capital really play out across the gender lines and across countries, like you said. So could you tell us a little bit more about this inclusive innovation? Why should we care? What is it?
Well, just one thing about the European Startup Universe program, because as you said, if you don't find your own country or the country you are living, you can join other country, but also you can, if you want, start the program like as an organizer in your country. There is another opportunity. So as you said, about inclusive innovation, well, as you know, everybody knows, we have been listening about innovation for many years. Maybe it's a buzzword that is too much sometimes used, but I still love the word. I love the word innovation and the concept. In spite there is many times used, maybe too many times also. But the way we thought about innovation tradition is very different from the way that inclusive innovation concept is, because and also in my point of view, in my opinion, if you are not being inclusive, you are not being innovative. That is from my point of view nowadays. Inclusive innovation basically means not only to give to society and startups and companies innovation that is widely conceived, let's say innovation that is for everybody, but only also to include everybody in the innovation process, because this is the way to include anyone and any person from any race, any age, any gender, any political thought, any disability also, to include them, to include everyone, and to value everyone, because all of us has a lot to say in terms of innovation.
Right, absolutely. And this is a very new topic. I mean, honestly, I was very, very nervous going into it. So I did my homework and I started researching like what it is and like when it all started. And I found an amazing podcast. I think it was from Stanford. It was 2013, and this talk has already started, so it has been around for some time. But why this year we just started to hear it from everywhere? Basically, there are so many emerging accelerators that support, like you said, immigrants, refugees, people with various disabilities, and everyone is included, and everyone started thinking about it. So what's the deal? Like, why now? What do you think?
Well, I suppose there are many different factors because, as you said, it is a concept that is not new from now. It is from some years ago. Yeah. But I think that year by year we are being more aware of its importance, of that is needed, and also there is a big trend inside companies and corporates and multinationals, also in startups, that it has, in my point of view, two different levels. No, there is the companies that they have realized that it's very important for a company to be diverse and to be inclusive, and there are other companies that they take it as a trend, and they take it much more to make marketing and to be like modern, and not really implementing it, because they haven't realized yet that it's not something I don't know how to say, something for marketing purposes. That is
it's not just a trend.
Yeah, it's something real. Yeah. There is also there's a famous article from Harvard Business Review that shows that many different researchers show that when you have a more diverse and more inclusive team, your company, your teams are better, you have more income, you achieve innovation and so on. And there are a lot of studies that said that. But companies, some of them, they still think that is something like to have a good image of the company. But they have not internalized the real implementation of diversity and inclusion, I think.
Right. Okay. I totally agree, and it's great that you mentioned corporates, because I'm talking to lots of accelerators out there, and it's also kind of a trend to bring corporates into accelerators to match with the startups. So I kind of think there is a question: what is, like, where the innovation is coming from? Is it corporates that want this innovation, or is it startups that have these ideas to change the corporate world somehow? So where does it come from, and how does it interconnect? What's your experience?
I didn't finish, I think, the question you made me before, because this is one of the factors that the society is changing. One of them, and one a very huge change that we're still living now, has been COVID. The pandemic has been a very great disruptor in every field, and especially in this one. For instance, if you think about remote working is inclusive, really, because you give the people the opportunity to work from home, because otherwise you are not giving them the opportunity to work in a safer way. Of course, there are a lot of different jobs that cannot be remote, but it's a lot of them that there are remote. And so one factor is COVID in this case. Another factor is the one you were asking now, is startups the startups in the last, I think, maybe 10 years or something like that. There has been a huge increase in the startup communities in every country. And now the synonym of innovation is really startup ecosystems. And as you said, corporates, they are like big giants, like big elephants that very slow, very big. They find very difficult to innovate. But the startups, the real specialization of startups, the thing they do the better is to innovate. So that's why corporates, to innovate, they need now startups, and not only corporates, but governments, institutions, associations, big organizations. They have realized, most of them, that they need startups to innovate, because the startups are the smaller organizations, very focused in finding a business model, very living between life and death. They have to be good if they want to still continue living. So they have that need of innovation, and they are the experts of innovation in our planet now.
Right, but it's still a great thing. It's good to see that corporates like these giants, they want to innovate and they want to change. So it's amazing. So what's happening in Spain in particular? Are there any changes? Are there any visible changes already?
And yes, there are a lot of changes. I think in every place in the world. In Spain, of course, yes. And as I said you before, the big companies are starting to realize that they need startups to innovate. Maybe because this thing that we're talking about diversity and inclusion, because they have their own very big teams, but they think in always the same way. They need people that think in other different ways.
Right.
And apply different methods. For instance, the lean startup methodology and so on. So they need new things and new organizations and new ideas, and they are betting everything on startups, most of them.
Okay, so this is basically how startups are being included in the corporate world, but how are startups changing in a way of social inclusion? So how do they fall into that trend? I don't want to call it a trend anymore, but it is, and maybe it's a good one. So what do startups have to change or are changing, and how this whole ecosystem plays out?
Well, in the startups, the startup culture is mainly based in, as I said before, in different methodologies. Like the most known of them is the lean startup movement. And the lean startup movement, the philosophy is to listen to the customer. Always listen to the customer. So the way to make innovation and to build companies and to build products now is listening to the people that is going to use your products, to listen to the customers. And the traditional way of innovation of the big companies wasn't that. It was to build everything inside the company very closely, very like keeping a laboratory very secretly. And that has changed. The innovation has to be open, totally open. You have to listen to the people that is going to use your products, and also to be open and to value every worker you have in your company. And the more diverse the team you have in your company or your startup, you will have more different experiences. You will be prepared to face different social and economic problems, because if you only have people, let's say only women or only men, you are losing half of the sensibility of the other gender, for instance. The same with people from different countries, the same with people from different ideologies, and also with people with disabilities, that they see the world in a different way than the rest of the people do.
Right, right. Oh, I have to tell you about this project that I met. It was an event from an accelerator in Norway, and the startup that I met was actually working on a really cool thing. It's a device, not like a phone, but I guess like more of a speaker, but it uses AI to basically connect elderly but very socially active elderly people to each other. So because they still want to be active, they still want to talk to others, they still want to make new connections, but maybe, I don't know, they have lost a spouse or something like that. And, the moment is not just right to go out and, look for these connections. So this device is amazing. And when I heard about it, I was thinking, oh my god, my grandma would love it, because you basically, it collects some information about people who are using it, and then it combines the schedules of different people and basically asks you, do you want to talk, I don't know, to Juan? He's in Spain, he would like to connect right now, would you like to talk? And you say yes, and if you say yes, then over this speaker you're able to talk. And it just, it breaks the boundaries and brings so much more freedom, I guess, to connect to other people, and again makes elderly people inclusive in the society, and just opens the borders as well. And I thought it was super cool, and I think a lot of startups in Norway, because I've been mostly working with Norwegian startups, are so focused on being inclusive. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, maybe there are more awesome projects that you know of and could enlighten us.
Yes, as you said, it's not only because sometimes we think that companies have the speech about being inclusive like something because it is cool or something like that, but it really, it can be that also, but it's because it's really useful for the company to be open, to listen to the customer, to listen to other different cultures, to take ideas from everywhere, because talent is not everywhere. And also we think in this case you said about a device, we have been used to think that innovation is only about technology, but of course technology is essential, but innovation is also, and especially about people and processes. You have to adapt the technology to people, you have to adapt people to processes, you have to include everything together and be aligned, technology, people and processes, because otherwise you won't be innovative, you won't find your goals as a business. In this case, I think most of the cases of startups I know now, and the cooler ones, they are open in this sense. They are open to different cultures, because now a startup, what the startup wants is to be global. The startup is born with the aim of being global, not of being local. So you have to be open-minded, to be able to be diverse, to be able to understand other cultures, to be able to have people from other cultures in your team, and to develop different solutions to different collectives and to different countries, different people.
Oh, absolutely. But, I kind of thought that, all the VCs, all the companies and investors, they're kind of slow, reacting to this kind of changes. So what is happening there? How investment changes in a way of social inclusion?
Yes, I think investors are always slow because they are playing with their own money. So they have to be sure about everything they do. And especially now, because as you know, especially in the United States, there's a recession about investing in startups that I hope that is not coming in the same way here in Europe. But I think investors are very slow because of that. they are very prudent. They have to think very well that the startup has a sense and really an outcome in the market. But I think also that a lot of investors are aware of this situation, and they value a lot this kind of innovations and this kind of being open. And if you the main goal for a startup is to be able to solve a problem. If you solve a problem, that is what an investor is looking for. And they don't give importance in that sense of if the startup is inclusive or not. But if you solve a problem, but especially if you want to solve a global problem, you have to be diverse. You have to be So I think they must be aligned, investors with funders always.
Right, and I think there is another cool trend that I noticed is that there are a lot of smaller investment firms or like just angel investors are emerging, because I just found a few, and they were really, they were not your usual investors, no fancy website and like no big words, just saying, hey, you got a cool idea, come here, we don't have millions or like billions, but we believe in startups and we want to help, and maybe like allocate $50,000-$60,000 into your startup. And for some startups, I think it's still a game changer. I mean, some startups don't really think of it as an investment even, but some really appreciate it. So I think it's a really cool trend there, because investing also comes closer to founders, and they want to be involved. They want to be closer to you.
Yes, I think that especially in the early stages, the business angels are very aligned with the ideas of the startup. They invest in the startups because they believe in them more than something related to equity or to income and to speculation, But in those stages, I think the investors are like more fans of the ideas of the startups. And also, in this little recession that we are having now in the United States and a bit in Europe, I think the early stages will continue okay. The problem maybe it will be in the later stages. And also, if you read some news of different webs, they say that after the summer there's going to be a recession. We don't know that. But I think the positive thing of everything's happening is that now startups they have to be more aware of being bootstrapping, of finding customers, real customers, not speculative on investments, customers.
Right.
And that is going to be better for the products that startups are building, I think. And hopefully, if we pass through this recession, and investment is going to grow again, and everything will be better, I hope.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I totally agree with you. When startups hear what the customers are talking about, and when they not only hear but they listen to it, it's really great, because as I mentioned, this device for elderly people, I was talking to the founders, and I thought, but this is amazing. It plays with your emotion, because you want your grandma to talk to other people. You want her to be active. And I was thinking, this is a great project for crowdfunding. Put it out there and show how your grandma will thrive with it. And they were saying exactly that. They had a great approach. They thought, we're just going to go and show it to investors, but what we really want to do is to show it to the world and see how they react, because I don't know what other reaction you could get. People are saying they will make your grandma happy, so it's a really great feeling. But yeah, what do you think? Is it should we come closer and like really explore our customers' needs?
course, if you want to have investors, the first thing they will look for is if you have customers.
Right.
Because it's very difficult for an investor to invest in something that they don't know if it is going to work. So the best way to know if it is working is if you have customers enough to work. So of course, always.
Right. I really like this idea. Forget about the approach or the mindset. If we built it, someone's going to buy it, someone's going to use it. It's no longer the case because we have so much going on. But I think it's a truly admirable approach to go and talk first. And that's what we're trying to do as well. This is why, the webinars were born, because we thought, yeah, we do development if someone doesn't know about it yet. So Mars is all about development. But we thought that it would be really, really great to connect to startups on all levels and bring, amazing people on board to help us understand how it all works and how startups could interact with us. So Juan, what else do you do with the startups? How do you mentor them? What's your area for example, in the accelerator?
Well, as I said before, the first thing is that we believe that talent is everywhere now, and even more after the COVID-19. So with European Startup Universe, what we are trying to achieve is to give resources and to give opportunities and connections to every startup, no matter what is the startup based. No matter if the startup is in a little village in Spain or everywhere in Europe, because sometimes the startups don't have opportunities because they are very far from the main cities in Europe or the hubs.
Right.
Also, they have no investors because nobody knows a lot of different ideas and projects that are being implemented in all over Europe. So we want to give them educational resources, connections to talk with investors, mentoring also, of course, and especially to know what is being other people and other startups and other countries doing in the different ecosystems. Because, as I said, of course, there is not the same level of investment in every country, but is one thing that I'm sure about is that it is the same level of talent in every country. Fortunately, it's another way of being inclusive, to know that everyone counts, that a famous motto is leave no one behind, inclusion.
Right.
So in the ecosystem, in the startup ecosystems of our country, one of our goals is not to leave someone behind. No? And also, another thing that we are realizing also that in every country, in every region, or even in every city, in an ecosystem, when there are many actors that are involved in the ecosystems, universities, institutions, startups, scale-ups, big companies, little agencies of the government, and so on. But my experience is when someone in the ecosystem tries to control everything and tries to be the center and leave others behind, that ecosystem is very, very poor. You have to be open, you have to include every institution, every company, every startup, every person, every stakeholder, and listen to all of them, because you never know where innovation is coming from, because it can come from everywhere, really.
Absolutely. And even from yesterday, and thank you again for your support. When I posted this, when I made this post about looking for more women to talk to, because of course I have awesome speakers here, but I have I think 2 more women coming, and we're booked for the next 8 or 9 weeks. And I was thinking, yeah, I could really use some more women here. It would be great to learn about other talented women out there. And it was a storm. I got so many pings and so many messages, and it's absolutely amazing. And I learned about so many great initiatives everywhere, in Pakistan, in Britain, in Norway, everywhere. And so many people are doing amazing things. There is another project that I would like to mention. They are, because we still, and I gotta talk openly here, there is a huge stigma when you talk about African startups. Still, somehow, there are so many, again, talented startups and talented people, and this project is the main aim there is to change that and to build the trust. So basically, they're not going directly for the money. They're not saying, build an accelerator for African startups. The word that I heard the most when we were talking is trust. They're trying to build trust and show the investors, show the world that African startups are talented and there is nothing to worry about, and they work hard. And it was amazing. I think it's such, again, an admirable initiative, and I think it's changing a lot for many people out there. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's just a swirl of so many great things.
Also, yes, of course, and also, as you said, if you count on for instance, African startups, you are having a different point of view of everything about life and our economy and our society and so on. And you have to think not only you have to think in the people who is going to consume your product, but also you have to build that product from people related to your customer with the same feelings or the same culture of your customer. So you have to be, it's mandatory to be open in the process of including everyone in the innovation process. And of course, in Africa and everywhere, you will find people with different backgrounds, with different experiences, with different solutions. That is it sounds like very politically correct to say that we must be inclusive and to count on everyone, but it's not something politically correct. It's really true that you will find different solutions. You will be more innovative. You will have more income also. You will be successful more than a company that is very traditional, very close, very homogeneous, and so on. It's not something that is my idea. It's something that is proved. Many studies show that. So
absolutely, and I talked to one of the persons who's responsible for business development with the startup community in Oslo, and we were discussing how awesome it is for Norwegian government to allocate this enormous amount of money that they are getting from the oil business into startups, because basically now it's super easy for startups in Norway to get grants for development, but it's a great opportunity for government to, I think, to give the responsibility to people and to create this ecosystem. But then, of course, they would be getting it all back in taxes, and again have an opportunity to develop the country, to put it all back. So it's such a awesome circle. I think what government is doing in Norway is really great, and I think a lot of countries would have a lot to learn there.
Yes, I think related to this, there is like an old tale or legend in India that says that maybe you think that an elephant is more powerful than a mouse, but sometimes a mouse can get into places that where an elephant cannot go. So
Yeah.
that's why the startups are very, very important.
Yes, absolutely, and that's why it's such a blast for us even at Mars to work with startups and to meet so many amazing people, very talented, very motivated, and we also learn from them because, you know, like you said about African startups, that you have to know the culture, you have to know where the startup is coming from to relate to it. And there was another awesome thing that I would like to point out is we met with this startup and they're doing really nice thing. They've been working on it for years and they have a community, and now they realize that it's time to grow this into like I don't know, a real startup, to have, you know, their own solution and stuff. And they're very cautious about choosing their investor, because investors believe the girls are in Norway, but what they're doing is the product for African hair, African structured hair. I'm not quite sure how to say that correctly, but and investors believe in that and they want to invest in them. But eventually girls want to move to Africa and, you know, expand there and give opportunity to African community to work through this app and, you know, to take responsibility for their lives and, you know, earn money. And then investors back off, you know, because maybe this is not what they relate to. And this is really important. Like you said, it's a really, really great thing to make sure that whoever you get involved with, your investor, your co-founder, they can relate to the situation you're in.
Yes, and also another way of innovate always has been mixing the different things. When you mix one culture with another, you have like a new culture, a mix of both, and also a more resilient thing.
Yeah.
That I think a creation that takes part from different worlds and is very resilient in that way. So I think mixing is always, not always maybe, but is a way to innovate many times. And related to African startups, a way to help the African continent to develop is also to invest in African startups. So I think it's good, not only for Africa, but for the world, because we need a more equal world for all of us also. That is so good for all. And I think it's always positive to be open to other continents.
Right, and I think even the big players are moving towards Africa, because I know that Antler at the moment has only one accelerator or one office in Kenya, but as far as I know, they are going to expand there as well, and I think it's great. It's a great opportunity for businesses there, and we're going to see a lot more African startups in the next, I don't know, couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, and maybe you would like to tell us a little bit more just about your other adventures and what else you do.
Well, I don't know, my adventures are still ongoing, most of them. I think my bigger adventure is to come. It's not the. I don't know how is the expression. It's always the better adventure is always coming, no?
The next
but
one, yes.
Yes, especially after COVID, I've been a big advocate of remote working for many reasons. Not only because because of being safe about COVID, because you don't have to move and to commute to your work, because I found remote working a big change in many different aspects. For instance, it democratized a lot of different areas related to work. You work with more diverse teams, with people from every country. You discover different points of view. You, especially, for instance, in Spain, this last year I have been working with people in English, especially from people from all over the world. But what I have realized when I spoke with people in Spanish, in my language, I have started to value my language even more, because, as you know, Spanish is the second language, but number of native speakers. And we have the whole Latin America and so on. And I feel like they need to be more connected with those countries also, not only in English, because those countries, they speak Spanish, but they have many different cultures, very different from Spain also, because Spain is very European, and those countries, they have a lot of native people, indigenous people, and so on. The cultures are very different, but we are linked by our language. So there is a huge opportunity to interchange different points of view, different solutions, and not only from the business world, but also for the societal world, for social innovation and so on.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yes, and also, now what I feel also, there is one thing that I don't like maybe most of all, that I think the most opposite thing to inclusive innovation and to innovation is war. The war we are living in Europe and Ukraine and Russia and so on. And I want this war to finish as soon as possible. I don't think that, well, we always know that they say when a war is happening, the technology progresses. They say as though that's, but that's true. But as we know, innovation is not only technology; it's also people and processes. And people is the one that is suffering war. So I think the best way to innovate in this case in Europe is to finish this war, not to increase our spending in weapons in every part of Europe, and to find peaceful solutions everywhere.
Right. There is still a way to be inclusive for governments, I think, for every government out there. But yeah, it's definitely a very, very sad topic. I wouldn't go there because I have very personal, I think, feelings about that.
Okay, then
but yeah, no worries. I mean, I absolutely 100% with you there, because everyone is saying it's 2022 and there shouldn't be war anywhere. It shouldn't be war in the middle of Europe, in the Middle East, in Africa, anywhere. Not just the ones we choose to notice, but those we choose not to notice as well. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you, with especially with the remote work. There's still a lot to do, and it's kind of sad that there are still companies that would like all of their employees to go back, because they think there is some kind of challenge in communication. But I also agree with the saying that, if there is a challenge in remote communication, there probably was a challenge in communication inside the company even before COVID. So yeah, maybe it's again a little chance to change something for these companies, especially for the big corporates. But yeah, yay, remote work.
I think it's a way also to notice which are the most innovative companies, because for me personally, the most innovative companies are the ones that are open to remote working. Yeah. For instance, Airbnb has had a huge success offering people remote work for forever. And also, I think the workers, the people that have to go to work, we value a lot giving the possibility of remote working. So a lot of companies also are realizing that giving that chance to their employees is an opportunity to attract talent to their companies. And I think there is also a race in this sense, because there are companies that are betting everything in remote working. There are others that not. There was a famous statement from Elon Musk saying that he doesn't believe in remote working, and just the day after that, a lot of companies were offering remote working in response to that. So I think people value a lot that they are giving the possibility to remote work, and I think the most innovative companies are the ones that are offering that, and also in an inclusive way.
Right.
Because
yes.
for me, in my case, I'm not living in a main city in Spain, and I have been working in different projects before remote working. I didn't have the chance. I didn't, and the companies, they didn't have the chance to have me also, because I have to value myself also, because it's an opportunity not only for the workers, but also for the companies. Right. So I think it's here to stay. And for me, it will be ever more innovative a company that offers that a company that doesn't.
Absolutely. Well, and there are so many opportunities for co-founders to find each other anywhere in the world. Like even in my own case, I was based in a different country, and my co-founder was in Switzerland. And it was very good. It was an amazing establishment. I had to unfortunately step down. I still vouch for the project. It's amazing, and the founder is great. But yeah, it's absolutely an amazing opportunity, and it's totally possible. So I agree with you. But I guess we could stop here, I think. Juan, it was great talking to you. And everybody, I think Juan is more than welcoming to any new contacts, right? To mentor, to talk. He's been great and very supportive of everything we do in Mars. And I'm sure we'll see more of him in the coming webinars.
Of course.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and next time, tune in, and Juan as well, we would like to invite you for the next webinar that we're going to have with two amazing founders. They are from Norway, and we're going to talk about their project. It's called Sasu. And I'm not going to spoil anything. They are going to be the one talking about it, and you are going to finally see our CEO, John. He's going to join us as well, and he's going to talk a lot about the technical aspect of what we do. So yeah, Juan, I hope to see you there.
Okay, I will be there, of course.
Okay, well, thank you again, and thanks to everyone who's been listening to us. Hopefully it was good and helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.